Welcome to another episode of the Alamo City Sportscast with Mike Jimenez and Joe Garcia. Make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. Join the discussion as we broadcast live from beautiful West San Antonio. And remember to tip your hosts as it helps the show grow.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Alamo City Sportscast. Today, I'm going to be co-hosting this show with the one and only, my boy, Rick Fernandez, also known as Rick Fernandez. And, man, we had a big weekend of sports, man. We had NBA going on. We had boxing going on. Me and you are avid boxing fans, dude. And it was like, we're busy with life, busy with family, and we're still trying to make time to see these great boxing matches, bro. And kind of was going back and forth with you a little bit, texting you here and there as the fights were going on, because I was locked in, so were you. Hey, man, did you check this out? Did you see this knockout, dude? Hey, did you see this? I mean, it was a great night if you're a boxing fan, dude. But more importantly, you had a big Friday as well, because we premiered your interview with the one and only San Antonio boxing legend, James Leija. So, man, how was your weekend? Just let me know, how was your weekend for one? And second, let's talk a little bit about that James Leija interview.
Hey, yeah, man. Hey, good morning. Shout out to all the listeners. I already see all the crew out there. The Necios, Tim Gonzalez, Sith, Matt Lerma, Hooper Flash, all the crews out there. So appreciate you guys supporting from Midtown, Texas. No, man, yeah, it was a crazy weekend. It was a busy weekend. My son had basketball tournaments, AAU all weekend up in North County, like towards LA, in Newport Beach. So yeah, like you could see on my Twitter, he went 4-0, right? Their team went 4-0. They were balling, nice, man. And you could see on my Twitter where I put his highlights up there where he's balling. So that was pretty cool, man. He got hot, man. He had like 3 threes in a row yesterday. And you hear me talking trash, bro. I'm that father out there, just not talking trash, but supporting my son, and getting hyped for my boy. But yeah, man. So yeah, and then the mix of all that, right? We have all the fights, right? Like you said, bro. Me and you were texting back and forth, catching like, "Hey, did you see this? Did you see that?" The Tyson Fury-Usyk was in Saudi Arabia, so it was during the day here in the States.
5:30, right? Something like that.
It was and it was 3:30 my time here in Cali. Yeah. So it was wild, man. I mean, that was a good fight, man. And I'll be honest, man. I thought Tyson Fury's size and length and power was going to be too much for Usyk. I mean, they're both great fighters, and I just would, I kept saying, a big guy usually, a good big guy usually beats a good little guy, right? 9 times out of 10. But Usyk, man, that dude is a master boxer. He has a lot of heart, man. It was a big weekend for Ukraine boxing, because even Baranchek pulled the upset against Navarrete. So yeah, man, and then of course you had the NBA Game 7s, and I mean, it's just I love it, man. I love weekends like this, man, where there's a lot popping off, sports wise. Sith and I were going back and forth talking boxing. It's fun, man. It's fun interacting with the followers and stuff live. I appreciate Hooper Flash. Happy 2-year anniversary. Exactly. So Steph and I's 2-year anniversary is today. Yeah. So shout out to Steph. I love you.
2 years,
amazing
bro.
2 years. 2 years. I know, man. I know. Amazing 2 years, bro. A long distance, right? Which is tough, right? It's tough. Being 2 years long distance, right? Obviously, I'm in San Diego. She's in San Antonio. But we make it work. I'm out there a lot. I bring her out here, and we definitely make it work. So
you're a team, bro.
Yeah, shout out. Yeah. She's awesome, man, and she puts up with my crap. You know what I mean? And I'm not the easiest guy to deal with sometimes. So I do appreciate her, and I love her. I know she's watching. She's an amazing woman.
Yeah, you should have made sure you sent her some coffee this morning, bro.
Yeah, man.
Coffee.
Yeah, exactly. She definitely needs her coffee. But yeah, man, no, it was great, man. Like I said, it was an amazing weekend, man. The boxing, bro. Man, I tell you, Usyk, he brought it, man. And I did think it was a close fight. I mean, I really think the knockdown,
the difference
was the difference. It really was, man. I mean, even in the scores, because it was a split decision. You had 114, 112, or I'm sorry, 114, 113, either which way, which 1-1 for Fury, 1-1 for Usyk. And then you have the 115, 112 for Usyk, which, again, if you do the math, that knockdown is an extra point. So without that knockdown, it would have been a draw. One judge would have had it a draw, one would have had it for Usyk, one would have had it for Fury. I mean, it was a great fight, man, and I don't think it did anything to tarnish Fury either. Honestly, Fury brought it, man. He did, he fought well, he fought hard. I mean, they're already talking about a rematch in October.
Yeah,
They're already talking about a rematch
there's
for
a clause
October. I
in
know,
the contract.
yeah, there's a rematch clause in the contract. And the thing about it though is, I read that Usyk broke his jaw.
Ooh,
After, during that fight. So I don't know if he's gonna be ready for October. We'll see. Uh, I wouldn't be surprised if they still don't go ahead with Joshua Fury if Usyk's not ready for October. I don't know, but yeah, it was just a great fight, man. That's heavyweight action for you, and I think I was talking with Sith on Twitter, and we were talking about, people say, oh, there's no exciting fights in boxing, and
yeah,
boxing's dead, whatever. They don't watch all these fights like your casual fan watches, the Canelo fights, or the
big
big
names.
pay-per-view fights, yeah, the big names, and those are fine, but even the Fury-Usyk, I mean, it was people who know boxing knew that one was going to be a war, and knew we were looking forward to that one. So yeah, so that was it was a weekend of upsets. It was a weekend of upsets.
I should have bet you, right? Usyk
I
and Fury.
know, I know, I know. You know what? And I was trying. I was looking for people to take bets on Fury
Yeah,
Usyk, and no one did, which I'm good. Thankfully, they didn't, because I had Fury.
yeah.
But I didn't think it was out of the question for Usyk to win. I mean, like I said, man, Usyk's a great fighter. So it wasn't like, I mean, it was an upset, because I think Fury was slightly favored, but it wasn't like a huge upset. I mean, Usyk is just as capable. I
He's
just
beaten
thought
a
that the
lot of good
size was going to be.
fighters.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely. Been a lot of good fighters on the road too, um, and Usyk brought it, man. He came and took it, and first undisputed heavyweight champion since 1999, right? Lennox Lewis. So that's a big deal.
it
So
is.
literally Usyk has all the belts, all four belts, lineal heavyweight championship, and from coming from light heavyweight and cruiserweight, because he's a pretty small heavyweight, by standards of heavyweights. It's pretty amazing, But again, it goes back to that amateur pedigree. I mean, the dude was on the Olympic team for Ukraine. You know what I mean? He's gold medalist. Like, all that stuff matters. Like, that stuff does matter. Um, so you know, fast forward to Saturday night, so there were some fights in San Diego, which I wanted to go to, and I had planned to go to, but my son had those basketball tournaments, so I ended up just watching it at the house. But it was a night of upsets. There was a local kid, Giovanni Santillan, who was undefeated. San Diego loves him. He's in front of his home crowd. Um, Exciting, and he got beat, man. He got knocked out. But shout out to Brian Norman Jr., who stopped him in a war too.
Man,
They were both battered and bleeding, and I'm always cautious about those hometown fights. I feel like it's a lot of pressure on a yeah, exactly. 1999 last Spurs championship party like it's 1999. I always feel like it's a pressure for a fighter to fight in their hometown. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of distractions, there's a lot going on. So those can kind of bite you a little bit sometimes. So, and that's, I think, what happened with Santillan. He fought in front of his home crowd. He wanted to put on a good show. And he got knocked out, and then you had Branchek, who was a very unheralded, little known Ukrainian, who was on a team with Usyk and Vasyl Lomachenko. So, the dude is skilled. He fought Emmanuel Navarrete, who Navarrete was hot. They were touting him. He moved up in weight. Navarrete was, looking at bigger fights with Lomachenko and some of the other big names at 135. And Baranchek outboxed him, out-hustled him, and took a split decision win. So that was a big upset. That was a bigger upset than Usyk Fury, in my opinion, just because, again, no one knew Baranchek. Hell, I'm a boxing junkie, and I had never seen him fight before. He had never fought in the States. It was his first time fighting in the States.
hell of a show.
Yeah, for sure. So the dude was skilled, and Navarrete brought it. It was exciting. It was a good fight, but ultimately, Baranchek took the split decision. So it's exciting, man. Like, I always say, man, boxing's a theater of the unexpected. You never know what's going to happen. You can sit here and oh, I think this is going to happen. I think that's going to happen. I'm an expert. I know what I'm talking about. And Buster Douglas knocks out Mike Tyson. You know what I mean? 1990. So it's like, yeah, and that's what's fun about it. That's what's fun. But yeah, there's a lot in the chat about the about NBA. There's a lot of we had big
A lot
game
of NBA.
sevens, and yeah, a lot of NBA action.
Yeah, man, but boxing is not dead. Boxing was very entertaining, especially if you're a steward of the boxing matches themselves and just love to watch combat sports in general. I mean, boxing's not going anywhere. Everybody
Yeah.
says, "Oh, UFC and MMA is where it's at." Man, I like watching UFC. I like watching MMA, but as I was showing you the other day, there's this one thing called One Championship, and I like watching this, dude, because it's like the super flyweights, right? It's Muay Thai boxing,
Yeah.
boxing, bro. These little
Yeah.
dudes, man, they flying all over the damn, all over the place, man, in the ring, and they're just punching. And the cool thing about it is, it's not like MMA, you're like UFC, where you can tackle people to the ground. They throw in elbows, they're throwing punches, they're boxing, but they're kicking at the same time.
Kickboxing. Yeah.
Kickboxing. These little dudes are fast, man, lightning fast.
Yeah.
And watching that, man, it's entertaining to me. I like watching it. And then you see the type of gloves that they're wearing. I mean, it's basically bare knuckle, bro.
Oh yeah, they're those small. They're very small.
Real tiny.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking like not even maybe an ounce, 2 ounces, 3 ounces.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
bro.
Boxing gloves are 8 to 10 ounces. And even those you feel the fist.
Oh, yeah.
So you can't even imagine under 8 ounces.
Yeah. So I was getting into that too, dude. They had some nasty KOs. It's a One Championship. For those that don't watch, it comes out on Friday mornings. And sometimes I'm just watching that, just as I'm getting ready to do the show or whatever. And man, these guys they throw hands, dude. So if you like combat sports, go definitely check that out. But boxing itself, man, this weekend was great. I liked watching the Fury, and Usyk fight. I thought Usyk did something very smart, and the same thing with Tyson Fury. They kind of adjusted, and it was interesting to see that because Fury was going to lose. I think he's going to lose the first 2 rounds or something like that, right? Usyk won the first round, then Fury came back out and started making, getting I guess the timing down, getting the distancing down, and Fury started having some good rounds. I think it was like the second, third, fourth, fifth round. Fury started coming on, but Usyk was still in there. He wasn't going anywhere. He was keeping things very close. I think he was only down by maybe 1 or 2 points on the scorecard, and I was like, man. And then I started watching it, and as I started getting into the later rounds, Usyk was the one that made some adjustments and started finding out, all right, I'm downloading that data, like you were saying, getting those hits, and he's taking those hits, but he's learning. He started going close to Tyson and started finding him with those power punches, those power combos, and he was hurting him, dude. He was hitting him in the body. So what was happening is Usyk was hitting him in the body, and when he was throwing those body punches, then Tyson Fury had to kind of adjust, and he was trying to, start using the jab to get some distance. And then when he would kind of go down a little bit to try to cover up the body, that's when Usyk would come up and he hit him with that upper hand, left, and he would come over and he was getting him with those overhand combos. Boom, boom, getting him and hitting him with that power. And then it started having an effect on Fury. In the beginning, he was acting silly, over here taunting him and, no, no me pasa nada. I think Fury came in this fight and he came in playing too much. I think he underestimated his opponent a little bit. He thought, hey, I'm going to win this one. And I think that was his mistake. You didn't take this serious enough. And now he lost his title. And now they have the rematch clause in October. But I got to tell you, man, from what I was seeing from Usyk, even though they might have a rematch and Tyson Fury knows what to expect, I still say Usyk pulls this one out again.
Yeah, no, I agree, man. I wouldn't be surprised. After what I saw, I don't know what more different Fury could do. I feel like Usyk can, he's skilled. He can make adjustments. He has an in and out style. He was fighting lefty. He was fighting righty. Like you said, he was downloading data. He was touching him to the body. And that 9th round, man, where Fury was hurt, man. Fury, I mean, and I'm glad the referee didn't stop the fight. Like good on the ref for not stopping the fight. But I've seen fights stop for less than that. So. Yeah. I wouldn't have been shocked if the ref stopped it because, I mean, it was like 16 something unanswered punches and Fury wasn't punching back and he was just falling back to the ropes.
His legs were done, dude.
Yeah. And so in reality, one would say if the rope weren't there, he would have just fell straight backwards, but I think he knew that the ropes were there. So obviously he was going back towards the ropes and all that. But if they were in the center of the ring and all those punches were landed, Fury would have went down,
it would have been a clean KO, dude.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm glad the ref didn't stop it because it made for a good fight, and we watched. It made for drama, and we even when the scorecards were being read, I mean, it was kind of like, hey, I thought Usyk did enough to pull it off. But you never know. You're
Yeah.
in Saudi, you're in another country. Fury is
That's what I
you
was
know,
texting you. I say, but didn't do
yeah,
enough,
yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
then honestly, I kind of said to myself, maybe it's a draw. Maybe they're gonna. I thought Usyk did enough to win, so I
Yeah.
definitely did. But you don't ever know what the judges. Like I said, one judge had Fury winning, with the knockdown, and one judge had, or the other two had, Usyk. But it was close. It was a tight scorecards. Like I said, you take away the knockdown on points from what the judges scored, it would have been a draw.
Yeah, and that's
Because
the
they
one
don't.
thing I was telling you too. It wouldn't have surprised me if it was a
Mhm,
draw. Split decision, I kind of expected either draw or the split decision.
mhm, mhm.
So I was happy with the result. I think
Yeah.
that Usyk again, with that knockdown, that was the difference maker.
Mhm.
But also, let's go ahead and kind of switch things, a little bit here. Let's go ahead and talk somewhat about your Jesse James interview that you had, which was great. We went
Yeah.
ahead and you put that together, and I was kind of behind the scenes, kind of producing, and all this was a team effort because we had
Yeah.
Chicana Fuerte making those really nice edits and
Mhm.
teasing everything ahead of the interview as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
everybody had a part to play in here. But man, that interview that you did with Jesse James was great. A lot of insight there, a lot of little nuggets of
Yeah.
information, if you
Yeah.
so to speak. So let us know, like, what were some of the best parts of this interview for you? I mean, to talk with the great Jesse James Leija.
Yeah, man, it was awesome, and again, shout out to the team, you and Steph put, edits and did all that stuff for teasing it. Shout out to the people that watched live. There was a handful of folks that came on live, and I was on the live chat, and
Yeah.
we were talking through it during the live chat. So shout out to those that watched it when
And
we
there it is
premiered it
too, man.
live.
It's up
Yeah.
right now on the YouTube channel.
Yep,
So go
yep. It's
check
up
it
on
out.
YouTube. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. It was so cool, man. Like I said, Jesse James Leija is one of my favorite fighters. Obviously, he's from San Antonio. When I was boxing as an amateur back in the day in San Fernando gym, he was a staple there. So anyone who knows anything about San Antonio boxing knows that Leija's a legend. So yeah, man, it was kind of it was an honor for me to interview him, and that was kind of like my first like interview, really, right,
Yeah.
with somebody. I mean, I know we come on the show and we do our thing, and we usually just kind of you know, there's no script. We kind of just talk whatever we were going to talk about. The listeners chime in, and we kind of go from there. So that I was a little bit more prepared for that. Just gently as a professional, right? I mean, I was prepared. I had kind of my notes. I had things that I wanted to talk to him about. And I wanted it to go in a sequence. I wanted it to be
Yeah.
in a timeline. And we started talking about his nickname and his dad, and we
Yeah.
started about his early amateur days, and then we went into the '90s early fights at the Hemisphere, which was
Even
pretty
how he
cool.
got
Like,
started as being a boxer. He's gotten some trouble. He
yeah,
said he got arrested, and
yeah,
then he
yeah,
decided to do
yeah.
some changes in his life.
Yeah, well, and I'll tell you, man, like he didn't start boxing until he was 18, which is kind of
Yeah.
crazy because I mean, a lot of that's kind of a late start in boxing. I mean, in reality, like it really is. Like I know it sounds like, oh man, you're only 18, but I mean, a lot of these guys start fighting when they're 8 years old, 5 years old. See,
Yeah.
Floyd came out the womb with gloves, you know what I mean? So it's like a lot of these fighters that go on to have the success that Leija did are guys that have been fighting since they were, fetuses. So for
Yeah.
him to pick up gloves at 18 and have the level of success that he did was pretty amazing, and again, his father was a fighter, and they got him in with the right teams. I mean, obviously the boxing stuff is fun and it's awesome and all that, but I really enjoy when he talked about his father.
Yeah.
His father has passed a couple of years, and he had obviously a strong relationship. So when watching him talk about his father and kind of light up whenever we were talking about his father was pretty awesome to see. And then when he talked about like all the stuff he does outside the ring, right? The community involvement, um, all the other stuff that is important, right? Whatever, whether you're an NBA player, whether you're a boxer, whether you're um, a Marine, whatever, doctor, lawyer,
Yeah.
whatever job title you have, man, obviously that those are great titles and those things mean something, but they're not the only thing that defines you, right? And that's what Jesse James was talking about, where he said, hey, look, I could have boxed and made a bunch of money and been a jerk, and like I would have been long forgotten. He goes, but I still do stuff in the community. I'm still a good person. I
Yep.
still, um, you know, want to uplift my city, and so that's what I think makes him special. Like I said, you don't even have to know anything about boxing to know that watching that interview, just James Leija is a man of the San Antonio people. He always has been. He always has been. So it was awesome. So again, I thank you and Mike for giving me the platform to do it.
Yeah, of course.
Like in the words of Pop, I'm neophyte. You know what I mean? I've never done radio or podcast or anything. I'm just the guy that talks. And so for you guys to trust me and do that, because that's a big deal. I mean, honestly, it really is. Jesse James Leija, he's a local celebrity, but he's known nationally, internationally. Like I said, at the end of the day, he's not just he's a local fighter that people know in San Antonio. Like, yes, he is a San Antonio fighter, and like obviously people from San Antonio know him. But like the guy's was in the ring with Oscar De La Hoya, Shane Mosley. I mean, when you watch that interview, we talk about his resume. I mean, you want to talk about a who's who. I mean, he was in New York City. I like the story he told when he was in New York City when he fought Oscar at Madison Square Garden. He said, "Hey, I looked around and I saw all the celebrities and movie stars and athletes, and they were all there." He's like, "They were there probably to see Oscar." He goes, "But hey, I'm here too, kind of thing." So I thought that was really cool.
I like that one thing he said. He said, "If they knew what it took for me to be here,
that was
me a little harder."
Yeah. That was an interesting insight, and that's I feel like a lot of the stuff we were talking about translates to life in general, right? Like he said, they knew how hard it took for me to get here. If they only knew, and it's kind of like in anything, and whatever your struggles are in life or whatever you're going through, right? If people only knew how hard it was to get where you're at, you have some compassion for folks, and stuff doesn't just come overnight, right? You don't just get handed anything and all that, right? You work hard for what you have. And that guy told him too. I said, he was always the embodiment of the San Antonio community. Hey, you may not have a lot, but what you have, you earned it. You worked hard for it, and you give your all for everything. So that kind of it's interesting seeing that as like I said, he's a representation of the San Antonio community at large.
Yeah, man, definitely. He had a lot of good things to say. One of the best stories I liked from that interview was Jesse James saying when he became world champion, he came back home, man, to the San Antonio airport, and he's like San Antonio's, like star celebrity. Everybody's at the airport, all the news stations, everybody, waiting for him to come off of the plane and whatnot, sporting the belt.
Green belt, bro. The green belt, WBC,
champ,
bro. Yeah.
You want to talk to the world champ coming home to San Antonio? It was a big deal back then, San Antonio had a world champ in Jesse James Leija. He put San Antonio on the map. So he gets off the plane, and he's talking and everything to the media. And then he goes home and they get home. And what does he say? He goes inside the house and the wife's like, "Man, something stinks, man. Did you take out the trash?" And he's like, "I don't remember if I took out the trash or not." She goes, "Well, take out the trash." He's like, "You tell me to take out the trash? I'm the world champ." She goes, "Here, I'm the champion. Take out the trash."
Yeah. That was funny. I really was funny. Yeah, that was a great story. That just goes to show, man. He's like, "Man, I just went to Vegas. I beat Azuma Nelson. I got the WBC belt. I'm the world champ. And here I am. My wife's like, 'Hey, you need to throw out that trash.'" That's funny, man. That's a good story.
He's asking, did they fire the other guy? No, man, Mike.
Mike had
personal stuff to take care of.
Midtown Texas says Mike's picketing downtown City Hall right now.
Jeez, bro. Yeah, but we had a lot of fun this weekend. Talking about looking at the stuff that was going on in the boxing world, of course.
Yeah,
and make sure you go and check out the great interview with Rick that he did of Jesse James Leija. Like we said, it's out there on our YouTube channel. Make sure you go and like it. Go give him some love. Real
quick, man. Before we switch, we talk something else. And I was watching the Goldberg, some of the Goldberg interview where I watched it again, where he talked about the Guerreros, right, and how he got pretty emotional talking about that, and I just want to highlight, that again. We do what we do here on this podcast. And, hey, Joe's the boss, man. It's his show, it's his deal, and Mike, and they do great things. And we have the followers and the people that get on, and we appreciate you guys. So we're just trying to like grow it, and like I tweeted this, the other day. I said, this show's always been puro. This show's always been grassroots, and it's never going to change. But we do want to expand, right? And we do want to,
Yeah.
to have the Von Erichs, Goldberg, Jesse James, Frank Harris on this show, like for being a small show and we've just kind of started, like that's pretty amazing. Like it really is. You got to think about that. It's not easy to get these folks, on the show. Like they're busy. Some of them have agents, some of them have people that you got to deal with and talk to. So, and we're just, again, Pop's word, we're neophyte. You know what I mean? We're trying, and it's, again, when you're a good person and you do good things, I feel like people do want to support and work with you. So shout out to, again, Goldberg, Von Erichs, Frank Harris, and Jesse James. And we have more on tap. We'll keep that close right now. But
working on
trust and believe. We're working on some other folks to get on this show. Getting someone live in studio will be fun, but we're working it. So please stay with us and continue to like and tell others to subscribe, because we get that 1,000, man. That's the goal, right? So again, I just want to put my appreciation out there to Joe, Mike, Steph, doing behind the scenes stuff. Steph doesn't get a lot of credit because she's behind the scenes and she's not in front of the camera, but she's doing a lot of good things behind the scenes. So again, just I appreciate you guys, and I appreciate all the listeners, man.
Yeah, we got big plans for Steph too. Me and you kind of talked about it a little bit. So we're gonna have our team production meeting. So we're gonna bring her into the fray too, man. We got some plans for her, and I got a lot of work to do too behind the scenes and getting a lot of these things uploaded and ready so everybody can utilize these tools. So we got a lot of good things coming in the works here, man. But yeah, I mean, credit to everybody as a team. Mike doing his thing, you doing your thing, Steph, me. Everybody, Brandon Medina over there with Johnny Tejeda also doing, Generation Duo. We got plans for them as well. Things that we want to bring into the fray. So I mean, we're trying, man. We're grassroots, but everybody's making waves. We're trying to move together as a team and move forward and get this show even bigger and better than it is, right now for everybody else. But much appreciation to all the listeners, man, and the fans that continuously come out here and listen to us talk. And interact with us. We can't do the show without you all. So we appreciate you guys, man. But best believe we got some things in the work, man. We're working on some things. So it's gonna be a lot of fun.
For sure.
But the Goldberg interview too was cool, man, because talking to him about Eddie Guerrero, that was because Sith had asked, in the chat. And that's the thing, like we do basically what the fans want us to do. We talk about the topics they want us to talk about. So when we're talking with Goldberg, I saw that really good question come in from Sith, and I was like, that is a good question. I'm going to ask it to Goldberg. And like you said, he got emotional, kind of talking about the Guerrero family, Eddie Guerrero. Because I was telling him, man, we love us some Eddie Guerrero because he's representing the gente, and he kept it puro, dude. He didn't change who he was. He kept it puro the whole time he was there.
I cheat, I steal.
Coming in with the low riders and everything.
Dude. No, you know what? I thought it was cool when Goldberg said that the family supported him and when he was coming up, like, and he said, a lot of people in the industry wouldn't do it because they're intimidated, right? Or they see a guy like Goldberg and they know like he's going to be a star. So they feel like, the shine is going to be taken from them, right? So they don't want to, it's just like, again, it's like in anything else in life. Some people are at a certain position, and instead of supporting and uplifting others, they want to hold people down, right? Because they feel like, hey,
you're a threat,
exactly. You're a threat. My shine is gonna be taken away a little bit. But the Guerreros, instead of doing that, they lifted Goldberg and helped him when he was young and raw and green and didn't know a lot, but they knew he had like star potential. And I mean, that's a testament, because the Guerrero family's been in wrestling for a long time. They know the techniques and all that. But to be fair, other than Eddie, none of them have became like major stars, right? I mean, so I think like what Goldberg, what it sounded like he was getting at was they could have easily tried to hold him down and not boost him up, but they didn't. So that was cool. I think that was really cool. Mario Cavazos, man, he always brings the heat, man. I love the comments from Audio, man. He always brings the heat. He said Mike is marching down Cesar Chavez wearing a Mexican flag t-shirt, a taco in one hand, yelling, "We're all the minorities in sports radio."
Damn it, bro. Mario, they always roast Mike, dude, all the time. I'm like, man, this boy, he think good thing that Mike has that thick skin, bro, because it doesn't bother him, but he takes it in stride.
He does, man. You know, I used to joke with him and tell him that I think he's a masochist, man. Like I feel like he likes it, man. Like he likes the punishment, man. He enjoys it, man, because he brings a lot of it on himself, bro. So, Mike's a good dude, man. He's a character. He's a character.
Oh man, look at that! You cut our pay, we'll cut your. Oh my God, man! But you know, I was gonna say too, Goldberg, man, he does a lot for supporting the troops, man. He bought that
absolutely
Mustang, dude, and he was saying when he was in Cali, he would go to Camp Pendleton, you know, and he would greet the troops coming back in, and he had the boss, you know, that Mustang that was specially made to go ahead and boost morale to all the people in the armed forces, you know.
Yeah,
it was
that's
out there in Vietnam and everything. I mean, so this car has some history, you know. So it's still being utilized for that main purpose that it was designed for, to boost morale. And I mean, it's something like you were saying, you know, you're coming off the plane, you know, and you don't, you know, you have all these emotions and all this, you're away from your family and all that, and you see this car there, and then it makes you happy, you know, and then you go take pictures and all that. So it's a little, you know, a little break from the monotony, you know, that is always, you know, serving your country and whatnot. So I thought that was cool of him to donate that time, you know, to bring some happiness to the troops coming off of the planes and whatnot, you know.
Oh yeah, man. That's amazing, you know. And I've been there, you know. I remember coming home after 6 months, 7 month tours in Iraq in 04, 05, you know, back then, and you just can't describe that feeling. Like you can't describe the feeling of coming back home and coming back to your family, and you know, having somebody like that support, you know, Goldberg or any other celebrities that really are donating their time. You know what I mean? That are donating their time. It means a lot. It really does, you know. And you know, like I said, I've come home from several deployments, and it's just nothing like it. So yeah, you know. It's tough, you know, being, you know, I'm getting ready to wrap up my time in the Marine Corps, right? 20 plus years. And I look and see the young men and women that we have in our ranks now. And I'm thoroughly, I'm impressed. I know that this country and this nation's in good hands with these young men and women, man, because they're beasts, man, and they're ready to take on the next fight wherever it may be, right? But having support from folks like Goldberg and others, it does lift morale. It does boost folks, you know, because sometimes just you're out here, you're serving your country, you're doing what you got to do, and you feel like it's like a thankless thing, you know what I mean? You feel like people don't really appreciate it and that kind of stuff. And you know, everyone has their own opinion, and the military is not for everybody, you know. And I always tell my Marines, you know, because sometimes they get frustrated with folks in the civilian world who kind of talk down about the military, or they have something to say about whatever. And I say, you know what? Yeah, you know, and I say, you know what? We fight for them to have that right of speech. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, even if I don't agree, and I always that's always been my approach. You know, even if I don't agree with somebody, I say, hey, you know what? The reason why you're able to have that freedom of speech is because we're defending it. So you're free to have your opinion. You know, you can have your opinion. You could say you don't agree with the military, you don't agree with what the Marines do, or whatever the case may be. But the reason you have that, the reason you have that right to have that opinion is because we are out here fighting. So again, you know, that was cool of Goldberg to talk about that kind of stuff. So I had heard before that he was involved in supporting troops, but hearing it from you guys' interview was really cool.
Yeah, he's just a good person too, just like Jesse James Leija said, you know, in your interview. Being a good person goes a long way, you know, and people remember that, you know.
Absolutely.
And one thing that stood out with me with both Jesse James and with Goldberg is your character counts, you know, and that's how you're going to be judged. So try to be a good person moving forward, you know, and everything you do.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So one of the things
Sid says, thank you for your service. Hey, it's my pleasure.
Man,
I appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks a lot for you and for everybody, all the other Marines we got out there, boots on the ground, keeping the country safe, you know.
Absolutely.
So, absolutely. Man. And look at this, Mario Cavazos. Mike is making up for all the time he was stuck inside the coconut. Oh, but dude.
Oh my God. Mike. Yeah, you know who always gives Mike a hard time is our boy Dyer of Spurs and Salsa.
Oh man.
He went in on Mike's rant about the sports, you know, radio thing, and a lot of people actually did. I don't know if it had the result that Mike wanted, because I was reading some of those comments, man, and like, man, people were going in on him. And Dyer, our boy, Exit 7 was one of the main catalysts of saying, basically saying like, hey, Latinos don't even want you representing, you know what I mean?
Oh
So
my
like, I don't know.
God, bro. Yeah, but you know what? He
So
does have a point, though, man. When you go back and you look at things and you look at the
yeah,
landscape of radio here in San
yeah,
Antonio, right? And it's not like, hey, because there's a big, huge, humongous Latino population, just go grab whoever and put them on the radio. That's not what he's trying to say. He's just saying,
right,
look, we have talented individuals here. I think that's what he
sure,
should have phrased it as. Look, we have
yeah,
talented individuals here who are in our city of San Anto, and they
yeah,
deserve the right to be featured on radio just as much as
hmm,
anybody else that, the people who make the big decisions go with. I think
right,
for a lot of other reasons that people don't understand, it's not always up to the station manager to do the
right,
hiring. They have other
hmm.
people they got to go
Oh,
and,
of course,
and answer
yeah,
to. So they're the guys
yeah,
that are
yeah,
making those decisions. And they
yeah,
put these people, these talking heads in front of the microphone,
hmm,
but I do agree with him in a way where we do have to have more representation of the gente, across the airwaves here. And it's not saying, hey, there's no DJs or whatever on these other radio stations that are not Mexicano, Latino, Puerto Rican, Cubanos, whatever,
hey, our man Xavier, freaking Rican, man,
Yeah,
he does his
that's what I'm
thing,
saying.
yeah,
Yeah,
hmm,
he's doing his thing. But I
yeah.
think what Mike is specifically trying to dial
So
in
sports
is like,
radio. He's talking about sports radio. Yeah,
radio.
yeah,
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 we don't have that person
yeah.
on the airwaves right now. Not to say that it might not happen in the near future, but let's see who they hire, who they get to, go ahead and have some representation. I think that's huge to the city because you want somebody who looks like you and talks like you and understands the culture to be out there talking sports and bringing a puro vibe to it. That speaks to the gente,
Hmm.
just like much like we do here. We talk
Yeah,
to the gente. We go back and forth. They understand. Hey, let's talk about tacos. Let's talk about fiesta. Let's talk about some of the issues that are important to us being Latinos. Here
right.
and not just here in San Anto, but across the nation as well. So I think that's what he's trying to say. But it's the delivery. He gets
Yeah,
very
yeah,
animated and very excited about his cause. So I understand what
yeah,
he's saying. I think it's just the delivery, what everybody kind of interprets it as. He had
yeah,
good
yeah,
intentions, man. He does. He does.
yeah, yeah. Hey, we got Chicana Fuerte in the chat.
What's
Happy
up, Steph?
Monday. Hey, babe. What's up, baby? I love you. Happy
Hey,
anniversary.
congratulations
Two
again
years.
to your
2
anniversary.
years. Yes, exactly, man. Two years, baby. Um, yeah, I mean, it's tough. I mean, that's a tough one, because at the the other side of that coin is, you don't want to you want to hire the best for the job, right?
Yeah,
I mean, again, we're Latino, we're minorities. I get all that, but hiring, on strictly those kinds of things, it's a slippery slope. It really is, right? So at the end of the day, you want to hire the best for the job, regardless of race, color, creed, gender, sexuality, sexual orientation. I mean, at the end of the day, your merit and your work should speak for itself. But again, you're right, right? You have a certain audience, you have folks, that you're trying to reach. I don't know. I don't know the ins and outs of the radio and the networks and all that. So I'm not going to pretend I do. But yeah, I mean, I mean, and you could look at that across nationwide. I mean, honestly, right? Look nationwide or whatever, like the representation of certain races or genders in sports and whatnot. And that's kind of a big political topic. But and like you said, I think at the end of the day, Mike's delivery is what gets people, and Mike just being Mike, you know what I
he's
mean?
just being himself.
That's yeah, Mike being him, Mike, the to be a message can the same message can be conveyed by
Yeah,
different people, and it's received differently, right? I
yeah,
always joke with with our kids, I could tell them something over and over and over, and they're like, yeah, dad, whatever, or whatever. And then like somebody else tells them and they're like, oh yeah, that sounds like, and I'm like, I don't know what it is. It's just, there's something about, you know
yeah,
what I mean? Like they're hearing it from a different voice, right? Or whatever the case may be. I had just an example of like the message can be received differently depending on who's delivering it, right? So I think, like you said, I understand what Mike is saying, and I think he does have good points and good intentions. Maybe the way he delivered it is what turns people off,
yeah.
or maybe just a Mike in general turns people off. I don't know,
Look
but
at Mario
I
Camacho.
think what do you say?
He said Mike was trying to do something positive. He se cagó el palo. I think he was running a marathon. No, dude.
Well, and then you know what also threw people off was, and it might have been Sith, because Sith always on point with these things, or Midtown.
Yeah.
I can't remember which one. You know what? For a while, I thought Sith and Midtown were like the same person.
Man.
Like I thought it was a different account or something.
Yeah,
real talk, I really did. But yeah, I thought it was like a burner or something. But that's just a funny anecdote for Sith and Midtown. But it was Diddy-esque, like the way he did it. I think that's also what threw people off, because the Diddy video just came out where he's apologizing, and that's a whole nother topic. But it's just the way he did it, where you just see his face and like the background. So it looked like a Diddy video, and that's what somebody said. And Sith is my burner. I'm telling you, I'm still not convinced that one isn't a burner for the other. I don't know, because I'm not comparing Mike to Diddy. I'm really not. I'm joking. I mean, that is nothing to joke about. But I'm just saying the way the video came up was very similar. So that's what I think a lot of people turned off. But I think all jokes aside, he's the conversation is there. You know what I mean? The conversation. So yeah, there you go. Swiss. I'm telling you, Swiss, Midtown, and Sith. All they're very similar. They have a lot of the same thoughts. So I thought maybe they were each other's burners or something. But shout out to those three, man. They're always great on Twitter. So if you don't follow them, please go follow those guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. So again, jokes aside, I think Mike's at least engaging in conversation that's much needed. Ultimately, again, you got guys like Rudy J and Mike Taylor, who. Again, I don't. They might have got off radio for their own reasons. That's another thing. One would argue like, hey, maybe they don't want to be on radio. They want to do their own things. They want creative control of their own stuff to do podcasts and all that. So maybe being off the radio isn't necessarily a bad thing for those folks. So I guess you got to kind of look at it that way, right? So at the end of the day, even though they're not on radio per se, their still voices are still strong in San Antonio. Mike Taylor's voice is still very strong. Rudy J, Mike Jimenez, Joe Garcia are the voice is still strong there. So maybe just getting away from radio was what needed to happen. But not to say that guys like Menix and Joe Rango and those guys aren't doing great things, because they are. I mean, they really are. Out there, I think. But it's a conversation. It's a conversation to be had. And I think Mike is just. He's bringing things to the forefront, and we like to give him crap, but
I think it's just because it's Mike saying it. They go, oh no, se cagó el palo. I'm like, no, hombre.
Well, right, but that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. It's the delivery of the message. It's who is delivering it. Like I said, two people can be saying the same exact thing. It sounds a lot better when it's coming from somebody else versus a person that you don't care for or whatever. So
Mike's San Antonio's biggest villain because of his takes sometimes and what he says.
Well, yeah, he doesn't do himself any favors. Yeah, he doesn't do himself any favors when
that's him though. He has no filter, bro. He just says whatever he's thinking, he's gonna spit it out, whether you like it or not. And that's just right.
Well, right. So but it comes with the territory. So you gotta if that's fine, man. If that's what you're gonna be, then that's cool. But don't be surprised when you do try to bring a serious topic. People are like, yeah, shut the hell up, se cagó el palo, and all that kind of stuff. So you live by the sword, you die by the sword.
But I'll tell you what Dilo says, but we love Mikey Mike. Yeah, I know everybody loves Mike.
Right, exactly. And that's what I was just gonna say. I was gonna say, at the end of the day, I respect that he's true to who he is, and he's unapologetic for it. You know what I mean? And so, hey, if I tell you what, if I didn't know him personally, I'd probably be like, yeah, I can't stand that dude. You know what I mean? But that's just Mike, man. Like I said, ultimately, I think he's a good dude. He has good intentions.
Look at this. Elias says, man, I got the name of Mike's son for defending him. He does. Sid defends Mike all the time,
I remember that. Yeah.
He's like, you got the name of Mike's son. So as we start switching topics here, before we start moving on, talking a little bit about the NBA playoffs and, talking about Eastern Conference Finals matchups, Western Conference Finals matchups, we're going to go ahead and pause for a quick minute here. And we're going to give some love to our boy, Jeff Garcia of the Locked On Spurs podcast. Locked On Spurs is your daily Spurs podcast hosted by Jeff Garcia, the lead Spurs writer for Ken's 5 San Antonio. Jeff has a healthy plethora of guests all the time on the Locked On Spurs podcast. You can also follow Jeff on Threads at JeffGKens5SA. You can also follow Jeff on Twitter at JeffGSpursZone. So make sure you go ahead and give Jeff a follow not only on Threads and Twitter, but also on YouTube at youtube.com/@LockedOnSpurs. This is where you're going to be able to find the replay of the Locked On Spurs podcast. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share. Yeah, so one of the stories that Jeff Garcia is working on today, if you go ahead and check that out over on his Twitter, which you can follow him again at JeffGSpursZone, is something that he's written right now about City Sissoko. I know that, Mike likes some City as well as we do. But City was saying, right now it's an exclusive that Jeff Garcia is posting on the Kens 5 Twitter or the X. He's saying that the last few months when he was injured, he fell into a bit of depression, Sissoko revealed. So go ahead and check that latest story out over on Kens 5 on their website. It's written by the one and only Jeff Garcia. So make sure you go and show him love and give him a follow. And also go ahead and check out Locked On Spurs podcast. It's your daily dose of San Antonio Spurs news. And Jeff has a great cast of, let's say, recurring guests that come out on there. So again, go ahead and give Jeff Garcia some love. But as we start getting into some talk here, we're going to be talking about the NBA, let's say, playoffs and also the matchups that are going to be coming up. There was some surprises, man. I mean, I thought, for one, that the Denver Nuggets would be able to dispatch the Minnesota Timberwolves. That was not to be.
It looked like it was at first, right? The first half, they were up 20. They were up 20. It looked like they were going to cruise.
That was not the case, man. It's Minnesota, scrappy team, dude. That defense, when they swarm, it's hard to beat them, dude, because they act like a pack of wolves, dude. They're just out there attacking, man, attacking, and they make things hard for the Denver Nuggets. They take them out of their rhythm, they take them out of their game. They start locking down the best players on the team, and before you know it, that 20-point lead all but evaporated, man. The Nuggets started making, I think, poor shot selection. They started not acting like the NBA champions. They started kind of getting out of their element a little bit there, and Minnesota took full advantage of it, man. Ant-Man came out, had a great game, and that's all she wrote. They went ahead and dispatched the Nuggets, and the fourth quarter put them away, and that was it, man. Now you have the Minnesota Timberwolves moving on to face the Dallas Mavericks, who actually dispatched the Oklahoma City Thunder in 6 games. They barely won that game by 1 point, 117-116. I mean, the Mavericks, again, another scrappy team, dude. They just do not go away. They find ways to win. This is going to be a great matchup, man. You got Mavs and the Timberwolves, bro. I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, man, the West is tough. I mean, you got, the Mavericks knocked out the number 1 seed Thunder, and I mean, I know they're young and all that, and they have a good team, but it was, I feel like the Mavericks experience kind of prevailed there, knocking out the highly touted Thunder, at the 1 seed. The Wolves showed a lot of grit and a lot of determination yesterday because they could have easily folded in Denver, down 20, and didn't have a good game in the beginning, right? At first, he was held to like 4 points, something like that, the first half. So it looked like all was pointing towards, the defending champs, being the defending champs. I tweeted it. I said, this is like Usyk Fury, the game 7 was like a Usyk Fury fight, man, because it looked like the defending champs was going to take that, but the scrappy, Wolves, man, kept fighting, kept battling. They wouldn't take no for an answer, and once they started getting hot, they didn't let up, man, and that's the confidence. Yeah, Mike Conley was huge in that game, right? Again, veteran, calming everybody down. I think I'm interested how the locker room was at halftime, because again, you have guys like Mike Conley who have been there before, have been in big games, and maybe talking to folks like, hey, let's calm it down. It's the game's not over yet. You got to have those voices. You got to have those leadership roles. Because a lot of it is mental, you're down 20, but I feel like the Wolves just never felt like they were going to lose that game. Even when they were down 20, they didn't pack it up. So credit to them, man. Credit to them and their staff. I thought Denver was going to pull it out. I thought, hey, they're the defending champs. They should be able to win at home. But again, kudos to the Wolves for being that upstart team to knock out the champs, and now we're gonna have a new, and we're gonna have a different NBA champion. I think I read was like 7 years in a row or something like that somebody hasn't repeated. There was a graphic where it showed, so. Yeah, I like the parody. I like the different. I like that there's different teams. It's exciting. It's fun. And Wolves never won a championship, so this could be their first. There's a lot of storylines, right? I mean, Minnesota is one of the teams in the NBA that's never won. They haven't even been close since like the Garnett days, So
just like Toronto from years ago.
Exactly. And again, we know, 99, man, it was you never forget your first, what I mean, and you never forget your first. So there's a lot of storylines that play out, whether it's Wolves winning their first one, the Mavericks being a 6 seed, coming back and doing their thing with Luka getting his first and that kind of stuff. And then on the other side, hey, the Pacers, it wasn't even close.
Oh man.
I mean, they routed the Knicks, man, in New York City. You know what I mean? Which was wild because again, Brunson had been doing his thing.
¿Y qué pasó?
And yeah, man, and you got again, you got Halliburton, Turner, those guys over there that are doing their thing in Indiana. They've never won a championship, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
right? The Pacers have. The Pacers are another team that have never won. I mean, they went to the finals with those Reggie Miller days.
Yeah.
No, they've never won a championship either in their franchise history, if I'm not mistaken.
The Pacers did win 3 championships, but that was back.
Oh, maybe back in the
72,
70s and stuff. Okay,
all in the ABA days. ABA, not
ABA.
NBA.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so they've never won an NBA championship.
No.
So okay, yeah. So there you go. I mean, they've never won one. So having them win their first would be huge. Again, they were close to the Reggie Miller days. I saw Halliburton was wearing the Reggie Miller choke sweater. Did you see that?
Yeah.
That was pretty awesome. I love it.
That doesn't happen in today's NBA, man. That trash talking was on a whole other
man.
level. They can't take it nowadays.
Yeah.
They get hurt, bro.
Oh man, yeah, that was the whole Spike Lee and his wife was sitting next to him and all that, and the choke sign and the grab the crotch, and there's a 30 for 30 on that. If you haven't seen it, it's pretty awesome. So like all the different storylines, and then you got Boston. I mean, obviously Boston have been there before, but it's they haven't with a different team and different squad with these folks that they have. I mean, Boston has won before, but not. Not with this group, you know what I mean? Like, again, Black Glory days or whatnot. But crowning a new NBA champ is going to be fun. And like I said, the storylines of franchise. I like a story with a franchise winning their first championship because that's a big deal. It's a big deal.
What would be the perfect storyline right here? If somehow the Pacers wind up beating the Celtics, which I think is very doable for them, they could be a sneaky team that will come in here and really put some on the Celtics and could possibly upset them, move on to their first NBA finals, right?
Yeah.
Same thing with Minnesota. With Kevin Garnett, back to the Kevin Garnett days, they were never able to move on and go to the big dance. They were never able to go to the finals with Kevin Garnett, which was a shame because Kevin Garnett is one of these players who was deservingly he deserved to go out there. And actually,
he got his with Boston, but during his Minnesota days, Hey, but you know
Minnesota,
why?
Man,
Tim Duncan and the Spurs during those eras.
Couldn't do it, man.
No, I always find that interesting when you talk about eras, like even like those Kings teams. You know what I mean? That were really good, right? Like with Weber and Peja, that they couldn't get there.
Man, they almost had the Lakers that one game.
Yeah,
man.
they almost had the
Robert Horry,
exactly.
Robert Horry, big shot, Bob. Dude.
Those Suns teams that the Spurs kept knocking out. Nash and those guys.
Boris
Diaw was on that team. Yeah. It's always one of those things. Like, man, what if? And it's hard. That's what's just so hard. And that's why it's so funny to me, man. Like, and I tweeted it yesterday about like. Because we always hear this stuff about like, oh, like like if it's so easy to like win back-to-back championships or it's so easy to do this and that, and it's not, man. Like it really isn't. Like it's not. It's very difficult to be even in the mix, like in the playoff mix, like you know what I mean. So it's like it's a testament to be there and enjoy when your team is there, and obviously the Spurs, 5 years we haven't been there, but times are gonna change, man. Times are definitely gonna change. With obviously with Wemby and I'm sure we'll talk about the draft down the road, but it's a very interesting, man. It's my sons and I all weekend we throw around our ideas too about the 4th and the 8th, and are they going to trade it? Are they going to package it? Are they not? What are they going to do? And my sons get really into it too. So it's good talk, and obviously you see it all on Twitter and everybody has their opinions. I don't know, I don't know what the best option. I really don't think you could go wrong, man, because in the 4th pick, man, there's somebody there. Like there's so many good names that someone's going to be there. Now, the bigger name that you want, if he's going to be there or not, is the question. Who the Spurs really want. But going back to the finals, or the conference finals, man. I feel like there's no clear cut. I mean, Dallas is sneaky, man, too. Dallas is sneaky. And
Dallas has been there before and they've won.
Yeah, for sure. Mark Cuban was out there doing his, he was happy, he was cheering. They kept showing A-Rod for the Wolves. Did you see that?
Oh,
A-Rod,
I saw that, man.
Yeah. They kept showing him.
He's a part owner, I think.
He is. He's a part owner of the Wolves. So that's why they kept showing him. But what I am interested too is I feel like the East has been a little bit easier road for the East teams, so when they do face the West team, is it going to be like, hey, the West team is like battered and beaten up? Or is it going to be like, hey, the East has kind of had an easier route and maybe they're going to get, beat down by a West team that's gritty? I don't know. It's it could go either way. I feel like the West has been tough. The West have been beating each other up to get where they're going to be. Yeah, because Boston hasn't been through no game 7s or nothing like that. I feel like Boston's kind of I hate to say an easy path, but because obviously they're all professional players, but it's easier than what some of these West teams have been having to battle these game 7s through. So we'll see. The Pacers obviously have had to battle a game 7, so it's gonna be good. I think it starts Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. So the NBA playoffs are gonna get underway, or the Eastern Conference Finals, should I say, are gonna start tomorrow at 7. And then you're going to have game 1 of the Western Conference Finals that's going to get underway on Wednesday.
And they said that every day there's going to be a game. They said it was going to go east west, something like that. So that's exciting. Yeah.
Yeah. So every other day you're going to have a game coming out.
Yeah.
So this is it, man.
Yeah.
And I think what I'm looking forward to is the teams that have not won a chip going at each other in the NBA Finals. So I'm rooting for the Pacers, and I'm also rooting for the Timberwolves. I want to see them go at it in the NBA Finals. It'd probably be the lowest rated NBA Finals, but in my opinion, that's going to be fun. It's good to see new faces in the finals going at it. And they're going to have a new crown, a new champ, and if it's the Timberwolves, man, great for them in the city, dude. They deserve to get a chip. And if it's the Pacers, great for them in their city. They deserve it as well, as historic as that franchise has been as well, with some of their players that they've had coming through as far as playing with the Indiana Pacers. So to me, it's a perfect storylines, man. You can't write it better than that, So the teams that are there, they're not surprised maybe by the Mavs being there, because to me, if you would have told me,
they're 6 seed,
if you would have told me in the beginning of the season, hey man, the Mavs are going to be there in the Western Conference Finals, I would have been like, nah, no way. But right now, the Mavs are playing at a high level, especially with that tandem of Kyrie and Luka. Luka is him. That dude, he might be hurt playing on one leg, but damn it, if that guy doesn't make some big shots, man, in big moments. You can't discount, like I said, the heart of a champion. He wants to win, so he's going to will that team to victory. Whatever he's got, he's going to do it to make sure they get the dub. So you can't discount Luka, man. So this is going to be a battle here. I think, though, that Minnesota is going to be a little bit too much for the Mavs to handle. And I think the Mavs are coming in battered and bruised and beat up after that Denver series. And this Minnesota team, man, they're young. They got a deep bench, and they play great defense, man. Like I said, when they're swarming out there, it's hard to beat them. The only way you're going to beat that, got to make some shots. That's the only way.
So, no, you're right. It's going to be good. It's going to be entertaining. Our guy Tim Gonzalez says, I miss the old days when the NBA was on NBC. Fernandez, what do you think about the NBA back on NBC? Yeah, I love the NBA on NBC, man.
Yeah.
Those that little intro,
Little jingle.
that sound, yeah, like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
bro.
I love it, man. That's what it brings me back to watching as a kid. Watching those games when we were
Watching
younger.
the Houston
So
Rockets going against the Knicks and whatnot.
yeah. Those Michael Jordan, retiring years where Houston got those back to back.
Yeah, man.
Again, it was another what could have been if the Spurs would have figured out a way to beat them that one year. But water under the bridge. What can you do? But yeah, no, man, it's exciting. I think I mean, if it's not going to be my team, then I think it's exciting for it to be somebody different. So I think again we're going to crown a new champion, and having one of the teams that have never won one, it's fun to see it. I forgot. I don't know if it was who said it in our chat, but they referenced the bring your ass. And
Oh,
when
yeah. I saw that.
because I think Chuck said something like I haven't been. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, he said because Chuck said I haven't been in Minnesota since
20
whatever, like the
years.
Kevin Garnett days, yeah, or whatever. And Ant's like, bring your ass. I tell you what, man. And I don't mean no disrespect to any other cities and all that, but like you hear a lot of flack about like, oh, San Antonio is a boring city. Let me tell you what, if these NBA finals are in Minnesota and Indiana, I mean, you're gonna find out, what's a boring city. I don't
Bro,
know.
what's
No,
there to
again,
do in Indiana, man?
I
Come
don't
on.
know exactly.
Come on.
And I'm sorry if you got some Indiana peeps out there. I no disrespect, but I'm just saying, like, people say that San Antonio is a boring city. Man, I tell you what, go, Minnesota and Indiana. If that's where the finals are gonna be, I'm just gonna sit back and laugh and say, man, they're gonna wish they were in San Antonio. Some of those,
The dirty river walk that Chuck's always talking about. Like, come on, bro.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what there is to do in Indiana. Minnesota is cold, and but I mean, this time of year, I don't know what the weather's like, but
Hey,
yeah,
Chuck's not going to be
it's
able
just
to
funny.
badmouth the San Antonio River anymore. I just saw an article where they reintroduced freshwater mussels back into the river to help
Is that
clean
right?
the river. They said that these mussels are designed to be the liver of the river to go ahead and help with the bacteria levels and whatnot. So this works out, man. That means that San Antonio River, that water's going to start getting clean. So they can't be saying that no more. What else you got?
Yeah.
You want to discount
Exactly.
San Antonio all the time and say bad things about the city and about the women and all that. But I bet you anything, Chuck comes back here with the TNT crew one day. That still the NBA still on TNT. It might be on NBC now because it says NBC has won the bid. We'll see what happens. I bet you he's gonna miss them big old women, like he says, back here in San Antonio, and the food and all that. I know you like I know secretly Chuck likes the city, man. He loves it.
Yeah.
Come on. He just like play the villain. That's it. That's all.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And that's what it is. Like you said, I agree. And I believe that. I think he just plays the part, plays the villain, and that's who he is. So he's going to stick with it. Indy has a canal walk. Again, man, I don't know. I'm sure every city, and then again, when you're from your city, obviously you have a fondness of your city. So I guarantee you, people that are from Minnesota, I guarantee you, they could tell you where to go, and there's some fun stuff to do there, But again, most people don't know, And as far as like the Riverwalk goes, it's like, people aren't in there swimming in it and stuff. So that's why I don't really get too wrapped up in people like, oh, it's dirty green, because sometimes it is, right? I mean, we've been to that Riverwalk, and I've been like, I don't know what's up with that water, right? But it's like, it's not for you to be in there swimming and drinking the water, you know what I mean? Like it's the atmosphere of the restaurants and the bars and getting on
the water
river
taxis,
boats
bro,
and
enjoying
all
the
that.
sights and sounds.
Yeah, exactly. So you're just trying to find something to be upset about.
I mean, if you're from San Antonio, dude, how often do you go to the Riverwalk? Let's be honest.
Well, true. That's true facts too. And that's what's always funny to me when I talk to people about when they say like, oh yeah, there's nothing to do in San Antonio. There's no nightlife, this, that, and the third. Again, man, locals, don't really go to the Riverwalk and the Alamo, and there's Southtown, there's other spots, man. Like there's other hidden gems that we know about where to go and all that. So I always tell people, look, if you're going to San Antonio, like let me know, and then let people that know where to take you to go, and we'll show you a good time. Like if you really want to have a good time, And again, look, I live in San Diego, right? Okay, there's no secret there. Like I got it, man. San Antonio is not LA. It's not Miami. It's not New York City. It's not Paris. Like no one ever said it was. You know what I mean? Like only those cities are those cities. Like that's what people always want to compare apples and oranges, man. So it's like just because you're not, LA, Miami, New York City, Paris, and what Rome, like it doesn't mean it's there's nothing to do here. Like trust me, if you want to have a good time and you want to have nightlife, you can find it here in San Antonio. But speaking of nightlife, man, our boy Jeremy Sohan turned 21 today.
Yeah, he did, man.
So
I was
21 today. So
I
happy
told
birthday
Mike,
to our boy Jeremy Sohan. 21, baby.
He's gonna join us, man, and wishing Jeremy Sohan a happy birthday, man.
Yeah, man. Happy birthday to our guy Jeremy Sohan, 21 today. He might be out in Southtown cruising around,
Maybe he'd be over there at you and Chicano Huerta's place, man. The bar Gimme,
Gimme, exactly. Yeah, our boy. Shout out to our boy Aaron. Yeah, man. So happy birthday to Jeremy. But yeah, it just, there's always a discussion about, and I know Mike Taylor talked about it when he was talking about who's Levitard, I guess, said something about this city, and yeah, it is a little bit more blue collar, and it's a little bit, again, it's not glitz and glamour of LA and all that.
Miami, bro, come on.
Nor the thing about it is San Antonio doesn't want to be that. You know what I mean? Like that's at the end of the day, like that's not what we want to be. That's not what we're trying to be. So but there's a lot of good things to do out here, and it's a good time, So anyway, it's funny because a lot of people, especially like on Twitter, have never even been to San Antonio, and they're the ones that are saying like, oh, it's boring, nothing to do there. So most people that come here are like, oh man, I do like that city, And yeah, there are parts that are more, to settle down and raise a family and all that, and that's fine. But that's not to say, again, if you want to have a good time and get in trouble, trust me, you can find a good time and get in trouble in San Antonio. Like if that's what you're looking for, if that's what you're looking for, by all means you can.
Yeah. Speaking of which, man, the next time you come out here in the town, my brother-in-law was telling me that over here, just down the street, bro, right here off of Marbach in 1604, they got one of the biggest food truck places here in San Anto, dude. So that's something that maybe we got to hit up, bro.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
We round up the troops,
Yeah, man. I'm gonna be back out there in June. I'll be out there sometime, so we'll definitely get together. It'd be cool to do like a draft watch party or something.
Yeah. Get John Dyer back in the fray,
Yeah, for sure. Definitely check out the food trucks. We got to get out to Trader Village, man, and see my guy Danny De La Paz, Puppet. He's he lives in San Antonio now, and he's he has a booth or a spot somewhere in Trader's Village where he has merch and all that. He's a really cool guy. He's another really cool guy. Dude. Yeah, we do. I've had a couple interactions with him. I met him a couple of years ago, and I talked to him, here and there on Instagram, and he's originally from East LA, but he now lives in San Antonio, so he's a staple around, and he's around. So he's another guy that is a friend of the show, and we're gonna have some talks with him. But yeah, definitely when I'm back in town, I think that's a spot. Go to Trader's Village, get some drinks, listen to some Tejano music. I know Mike not.
Nah, he's not gonna come for that.
But yeah. So we might have to leave Mike at home for that. Him. Maybe he could go hang out with AB Quintanilla or something. And then
put on the belt, dude. Put on the belt, the boots, man. Do it, the Galo Voltita,
Yeah,
like Raulito,
Yeah, exactly. Shout out to Trader's Village, man.
If Mike wants to know what to dress as for Halloween, dude, Raulito, he'd be a dead ringer, bro.
He would, and then have him do the spin, have him do the turn, Yeah.
Dale vuelta, I was like, no, but he would be a dead ringer for Raulito. You do the shuffle, it's over, game over, bro.
Yeah, for sure, he would. I think I agree.
Look at Mario Cavazos. The next interview is Little Puppet. We don't know.
Don't look at me, Little Puppet. Yeah, hey, Mario Cavazos is on to something, So we'll
look at Sith Elias. Shout out to Trader's Village turkey legs, bro.
Hey, yeah, man. That's where it's at. That's definitely where it's at.
Trader's Village, man, and Flea World or Flea Mart out there by Poteet. That's the one I used to go to all the time, dude.
Oh man, I used to go to Poteet when I was a kid. I haven't been there in a minute.
No, but it's the pone caliente though in the summertime, bro.
Oh, I know.
No aire going through. Bro.
Yeah. I know it does. It gets warm, bro.
But then you hear the Tejano music and you see the cerveza and you're like,
You get the micheladas going, man. And, it's a wrap. So,
it's a vibe on a Sunday, bro.
Yeah.
Look at Tejano is too ghetto for Mike, probably. They have
it's too ethnic. What did they say? It's too ethnic.
Too ethnic for him, bro. It's too ethnic. No puede, dude. No puede.
Tim Gonzalez said they have wrestling at Trader's Village. That's cool.
They do,
Yeah,
All right,
man.
man. So we're gonna go ahead and bring this one to a close. But again, before we bring it to a close, go out and check the interview that Rick did with the great Jesse James Leija. It's out right now on our YouTube channel. Make sure you go give him some love. Make sure you like that video. Like I said, it's a great interview. A lot of little nuggets there from Jesse James Leija about how he got into boxing, talking about life as he was being a boxer, fighting some of the biggest names in boxing. Man, I mean, like you said, he fought Sugar Shane Mosley. He fought
Yeah,
Oscar De La Hoya, Azuma Nelson. I mean,
yeah, yeah.
Jesse James Leija is no slouch, dude. If you go and you look at his
Gaddy
resume,
Ward, yeah, like yeah.
he's a hell of a fighter, dude. Hell of a boxer, and he's doing a lot for the community. So if you want to know everything that's going on with Jesse James Leija and where he is right now, go ahead and check out that interview with our boy here. Rick Fernandez. Fernandez did a great job, man. So Rick, where can they follow you on the X, man? And say right here,
Yeah,
Real
yeah,
Fernandez.
exactly. Right there. Yeah. Follow me at Rick Fernandez. I appreciate all the love, man. I love interacting with people on Twitter. I also love meeting people. Like I said, I've
Oh
met
yeah,
so many people this year. This year I've come to town, and again I live in San Diego, but I'll come into town and we'll go to Spurs games, and I met so many people off of Twitter. And I honestly, I don't think I haven't met anyone who's like, everybody's been cool. Like everybody, like, and it's interesting putting, you know, faces and like real conversations in
yeah.
person with people that you talk to on Twitter,
On
right?
like
Because
first Twitter, gente.
yeah, and like I said, I know there's characters, and I get all that, and I try not to get too wrapped up in all that kind
Yeah.
of stuff. 'Cause ultimately, at the end of the day, like if you cool with me, I'm cool with you, so I have no issue with anybody really. And people
I
can
blocked
talk
you by
whatever they want to
mistake,
talk.
bro. It was a
Um,
mistake.
and like and it is still funny though, because
Aye.
I still get haters sometimes for some odd reason, and I'm just trying to mind my own business, trying to enjoy my time with Steph and do my thing, and I'll get some random
Oh, man.
clowns who I'm not even going to give them a
Yeah,
platform, but
mentioned, dude.
they'll just randomly hit me up and want to talk some smack, and it's funny to me actually. It's funny, but it's all good. But yeah, man, follow me on Real Fernandez. I appreciate it. And again, thanks Joe for having me on today. It's always fun. It's always fun getting on here and
Always
talking
fun, dude.
boxing and talking with the subscribers.
Hey, this is every time you come on, it's the photo edition of the Alamo
Yeah,
City
exactly,
Sportscast, bro. We
exactly.
get the
I see. I
flavor,
think
dude.
I'm a good balance for Mike. You know what I mean? I think it's a good. That's why we all work well together.
Yeah, because I like talking boxing. I don't really get to do
Hmm.
that with Mike because, full
Hmm.
disclosure, Mike isn't, he watches boxing, but he's not a steward
Sure,
of,
sure.
of, of the game,
Yeah, no,
and I've been
yeah, no,
watching it since I was a kid,
yeah,
and
yeah,
we know the idiosyncrasies of boxing, and what fighters are going to do and what punches are called and how the cards are scored and whatnot, like, oh man, to
yeah,
other people, they'll be like, oh no, this fighter's winning hands down. We're like, hey, he might be only up by 1 or 2 points despite what you're seeing,
yeah,
So
yeah,
it's like
yeah,
we really, really locked in
yeah.
when we're
Well,
watching
yeah.
boxing.
Yeah, and that's what's always hard, man, about the scores, and again, the layman doesn't really understand the scoring system. So it's like a fight could, like I always say, you can win a round really really big, without a knockdown, and you like the guy's just beating the crap out of the guy, and that's a 10-9 round. I mean, it's a 10-9
Yeah,
round for the guy that won the round, and then the next round could be the other guy just jabbing and moving and not really doing a lot, and the other guy didn't do a lot. So now the other guy won the same 10-9 round.
yeah,
The weight of those rounds they're not weighted differently. So again, that just there's nuances in why like the
yeah.
scores are the way they are, and it's not perfect. I get it. There's bad decisions all the time and all that. And anyway, but that's a topic for another time. But yeah, no, I love talking boxing with you, Joe. I love talking boxing with the fans. We got a lot of knowledgeable boxing fans out there. I
Oh
will
yeah,
say that that when we start talking boxing, I know a lot of folks that are pretty knowledgeable and kind of start chiming in and stuff like that. So that's always fun. And it's even fun for people who are like, hey, you know what? I used to watch boxing before, like a long time ago, and then like obviously I got into UFC, and like now I'm starting to get back into boxing. That's cool too. I love hearing that.
yeah.
I love hearing folks say that they're kind of back into boxing. Like I told you before, I purposely like did like a silent protest to not watch UFC like when it first came out,
Yeah.
because so many people were getting into UFC, and I don't have no problem with UFC. To me, I think it's apples and oranges. I think they're two different
Yeah.
sports and they can both coexist. But I truth be told, like I really don't watch UFC. And like I said, I kind of made it a point when everyone was kind of jumping to UFC. Like I'm talking like in the early, like in the 2000s and stuff, when it first was on the scene and really hot. A lot of my friends who were boxing fans kind of like said, I'm done with boxing. I want to watch UFC. And I can understand the excitement because it's new, it's fun, it's exciting. And I watched some UFC and thought like, wow, this is exciting. Like it's fun, you know? But like I said, to me, it's apples and oranges. It's two different, again, people always compare UFC to boxing, which to me is just not a good comparison. UFC is a company within MMA. MMA compared to boxing is more accurate comparison. UFC is one company. Let's do backyard bride Joes. We can put gloves and hey, Dyer, we used to do that. Dyer remembers. If we could get Dyer on here, Spurs and Salsa, we used to do that in high school. We used to have like boxing matches in our backyards and stuff. And like I would always like ref them or like be one of the corner guys or trying to help people out and stuff like that. So it was really fun. But hey, we can, man. You know, I think I'm sure a lot of people would want to take some swipes at Mike. You know,
for charity, bro.
Maybe we could do a charity. Yeah, exactly. We could do a charity thing where you get to, you know,
skins.
Tell Rick about the Alamo City All-Star games. Yeah, we could do like some charity thing where you get to like, you know, take some swipes at Mike, maybe like throw pies in his face, maybe like dunk him in a water tank. I don't know. You know, we could do something.
Mike's gonna be like, man, I'm a 3-point shooter, bro. I'm gonna kill everybody.
We're gonna hear some tall tales.
We should have the little rack like they do with the 3-point shootout, or do it. I told them, let's go full circle, bro. You always talking your mess. Let's go to Miller's Pond and let's see what you got, bro. No, not underneath the nice, you know, court that the Spurs refurbished with a little, you know, shade canopy. Though no, out there in the hot sun, bro, and the metal rim, the unforgiving metal rim and the backboard.
Yeah,
let's see what you got.
Those are chain nets, man. You know what I'm saying?
There ain't no give in that, bro. No give. I said, let's see what you got.
Yeah, man. It reminds me of like Why Men Can't Jump.
Yeah, you know? Bro, for real. So we need to do that. That would be fun. To get that hinted together and do like a Alamo City All-Star Challenge, you know?
That would be fun. That would be fun. I'm telling you, man, we definitely, you know, and I know the summer's coming up. Hey, you'll find me and, you know, floating the river, you know, when I'm in town, New Braunfels.
So man.
Yeah, with Dak Mitch. Yeah, Dak Mitch, man. For those who don't know Dak, which actually shout out to Dak. This is one of his shirts. This is the We Hoop and
we need to get him on the show so we can talk about
we need to get that. We need to get him on the show, man. You know, Dak and you know, Bear County, you know, they do a lot of good stuff with merch in San Antonio, local guys, so support them. But yeah, Dak does a thing every year where he gets people together and we float the river. And we did it last year. It was really fun, Steph and I. And I met a handful of people from Spurs Twitter there. And yeah, we just kind of get together, chill out for a little bit, and then kind of go our own ways when we start floating, you know. But you know, again, man, it'd be awesome to do something this summer to meet people. You know, I feel like, you know, there's a lot of people on Spurs Twitter that kind of like banter back and forth or seem to have issues, but it's really like non-issues. It's just a differences of opinion. But I think when people meet up in person, they're a lot more open to like, you know what I mean? Like having, you know, good discussions, you know what I mean? Even if we disagree on takes or whatever, you know, you meet in person, you hang out, you have a drink together, you know what I'm saying? Whatever you do. And I think that's something we should do. You know, we should get folks together this summer. Yeah, it's all in fun, man.
Hell yeah, man. But it's been great talking sports and everything else with you, boxing, life, all that, dude. Yeah. So make sure you go and, like I said, follow Fernandez, also follow Chicana Fuerte and everybody else that's part of the Alamo City Sportscast. Like you got Brandon Medina, Big Papi Brandon Medina. You can go follow him on the X. And of course, MJM. You can go follow Mike at MJM13. You know, he's out there on the X as well. So make sure you go check him out. And also me, you can follow me if you want. I'm at Two Shots Podcast. So for Rick Fernandez.
Sure. Hey, I'm sorry, bro. Can I one more right before we get off, bro? Again, like I said earlier, 2-year anniversary for Chicana Fuerte and I, Steph. Again, just want to just reiterate, man, how amazing these last 2 years have been with her. She's awesome. She's amazing. She's a great woman, great mother. Again, I'm not the easiest guy to deal with sometimes, you know, so I definitely appreciate her making me a better man and just trying to be better at what I do. So, you know, we have an amazing time together. It's not easy, you know, and it really ain't. You know, long distance is tough. You know, she's in Texas, I'm in Cali. We make it work. But she's a strong woman for you know, making it work and dealing with me. So again, shout out to her. I love you, baby. But that's all I wanted to say. I appreciate you, Joe.
Yeah, not a problem, man. So for Rick Fernandez, I'm Joe Garcia. Thank you for watching another episode of the Alamo City Sportscast. We'll see you boys tomorrow. We're out. Peace.